it is my birthday. This is really wild too, because I'm now 33. I'm officially old. I wanted to dedicate this episode to some observations that I've made within the past year, whether they're things I've seen professionally in the diabetes world, things I've noticed personally, just some anecdotes. But ultimately, I think this is going to be very interesting. And there's going to be a lot to take away that you can apply to your life living with diabetes or your loved one's life while they live with diabetes. So got a few notes down. Let's dive into it. First thing, welcome to the Your Diabetes Insider podcast, where we take all of the mysteries of blood sugar control, focusing on nutrition, exercise, and any of the other 40 plus factors that may impact your blood sugar. If you don't know me, my name is Ben Zeal. I'm a registered dietitian, certified diabetes educator, strength and conditioning coach, and I've lived myself with type 1 diabetes for over 20 years. And I am here to share everything that I have learned in both my personal and professional experience so you can live that incredible diabetes life. So get ready and let's dive right into today's episode. What is going on? Welcome to this very special episode of the Your Diabetes Insider podcast. And we're going to go into some fun things because it is my birthday. This is really wild too, because I'm now 33. I'm officially old. And fun fact about me, if you've known me for a little bit, maybe you haven't known me for a while, but for whatever reason, back when I want to say I was in early high school, we had to pick numbers for baseball. And at the time, one of my favorite players in the Minnesota Twins was Justin Morneau. He wore number 33. So I picked 33 as my number. And it just stuck from that point forward. I was always 33 for everything. If I couldn't get 33, I was number 3. If I couldn't get 3, I was something that had a 3 in it. You get the general idea. And it just followed me everywhere. When people have email address or whatever, it was always a 33. So it's just surreal that this is year 33. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you listening. And I'm just grateful that this is going to be I just have a feeling this is going to be an absolutely incredible year. This is like the year. Everyone says, oh, this year's my year, new me. But 33 has just had such a significance in my life to date that I really feel like this is going to be magical. But I wanted to dedicate this episode to some observations that I've made within the past year, whether they're things I've seen professionally in the diabetes world, things I've noticed personally, just some anecdotes, some random, just really strange observations as well, just keeping it fun, keeping it light, right? But ultimately, I think this is going to be very interesting. And there's going to be a lot to take away that you can apply to your life living with diabetes or your loved one's life while they live with diabetes. So got a few notes down. Let's dive into it. First thing, and this is anything, but this really goes for diabetes life, would be expect the unexpected. And you've heard this probably a million times, right? You've heard, be ready for things that you don't expect and things are going to pop up that you're not ready for, and make sure that you're prepared. And I always talk about being prepared in the land of diabetes, but the best way to illustrate this, not even a question. And this is relative recency bias because both of what I'm alluding to are going to be within the past couple months. But we went on one trip. I was really grateful for my 25th anniversary. We went to the Azores, right? Amazing place. If you have not been, definitely check out some pictures. It's not very well known, which I really appreciate because it wasn't just overflowing with people, but it's absolutely beautiful, amazing hiking, amazing outdoor activities. That being said, we were hiking. We did, I think, 2 7-mile hikes. We were super active. We were in the ocean. We were running around all over the place. We were working out. I was on the pod at the time because I like to bounce back and forth between the two, between pod and tandem. On the pod, I brought so many extras with me. I usually tell people bring 2 to 3 times the amount you think you'll need. I brought 5 times the amount. No exaggeration, because I was so paranoid that if God forbid something happened, I was going to be in a bad situation. I went through 3 pods. I needed 3 pod changes. Went through 3 pods. It was perfect. 1, 2, 3, boom. No issues. We were gone for a little bit, I think 8 days in total with transit. No problem at all. It was wild. It was amazing. Meanwhile, go on a trip, just a little weekend. I'm talking like leave on a Friday, come back on a Monday kind of thing. Need to do one singular site change. One site change. And nothing crazy on this trip, right? Normal site change. Cool, we're going to work out. We're going to eat. We'll walk around. Nothing crazy. Go to a game. I had 2 sites go bad in the span of 24 hours. And this trip, one site change, I'll bring 4, I'll be fine. I'm getting a little nervous. I'm already on pod number 3. So the reason I bring up this story, the reason I share this is expect the unexpected. Prepare as best as you can. Because even though I was on pod number 3, and that third pod ironically barely got me home and it still wasn't even working well, always be prepared. Bring more than you think you need. Expect the unexpected. Diabetes sometimes is this nasty way of laughing at whatever plans you decide to make. Make sure you've got every single angle covered. Look for other possibilities. Okay, this could happen or this. Don't stretch yourself out. This could happen, that could happen. What's plan C just in case? So that would be one thing. Second thing, and this one's really tough. This one hits home, and I know this is very relevant with a lot of the things going on right now, but the universe has your back, but you have to trust in it because stress will absolutely destroy you. And I am the king of stress and anxiety at times. And as people with diabetes, we already have a higher propensity of being stressed, of having anxiety, of having depression and needing to focus on mental health because there's already so many things we have to focus on a daily basis on top of regular life, on top of family, on top of social life, etc. And trusting, even when things look super bleak, even when things are just absolutely, holy cow, how is this going on? My blood sugar is high. I'm making this up, right? My blood sugar is high. I'm stressed from work. My family's got stuff going on. I'm supposed to do 18 different commitments. All I want to do is sit in a dark room and stare at a wall. Just trust that regardless if the sky's falling, whatever's going on, things will end up in your favor. I literally tell myself sometimes the universe has my back. If I'm like really down or if something's really stressful, the universe has my back. And even if it doesn't feel like I believe it, I will say it a few times. Of course, subconsciously, you have to believe it for it to actually matter. But I'm doing everything in my power to manage stress and focus on just trusting in the process. Even if it seems like the light at the tunnel is so far on the other side that you'll never see it, you have to trust in it. Don't blindly be like, oh, I hope that I get super strong and drop 50 pounds and just hope that it happens. Like, that's not going to do it, right? But if you're like, hey, I'm focusing on nutrition, my blood sugars are on point, I'm doing what I need to do for exercise, it will happen. Trust that it will happen. The stress is what just tears people apart from the inside out. Blood sugars do not do well. I will tell you with certainty, your blood sugars will sit high for seemingly no reason except for the fact that you're stressed, and that's the exact reason why. Focus on mental health, but trust the universe has your back. Number 3, and this is a big one. The annoying little things are always the most important things to do. So, great example, diabetes context, dosing on time. Sometimes it's hard to remember to dose on time. Sometimes you do it and your blood sugars are great. Sometimes you dose right when you're about to eat, or you forget and you're already into a meal and your number goes higher despite the dose being perfectly fine. Nailing the little things is so important. That's why they're the little things. And ideally, you get to a point where these things are they just happen automatically. They're just there. You don't even think about them. You're just unconsciously oh, I already dosed. Cool, I'm good. Another example, stretching after a workout. Some people say, oh, this research says, I don't care. Does not matter. Stretching typically helps reduce soreness, end of story, and can help improve range of motion. I would encourage you, if you don't believe this, to be really focused on stretching for a while and then don't do it and then see the difference of how you feel after workouts and the days after, especially, and your range of motion and everything else. As someone that has done, I used to stretch almost as long as I would work out back in the day. I've obviously shortened it over the years, and shockingly, my range of motion's gotten a little bit less. The biggest thing I'll say with this is the little things are always going to be the most important. And again, it's annoying. Those little details are obnoxious, but they help so much. You've got to think about those things. And I always ask myself, I remember thinking like, okay, if I don't stretch right now, on the last stretch, it's super annoying. I might do it for 2 or 3 minutes and hold it. If I don't do this and this compounds over time, what is that impact? Everyone talks about compound interest being a world wonder and all these things, and it's a great thing, but think about that compound effect over time. If you do something for a minute today or 2 minutes today, but you do it for the next 6 months, think about how much further along you are going to be than if you just don't do it at all. And that kind of feeds into the next thing. The next observation is do the little things repeatedly and you will get extraordinary results. I saw a quote that was very similar to that. And I was thinking about it because it was like people that do absolutely just exceptional things aren't necessarily doing these things that are just monumental. Holy cow, they just invented, I don't know, a water-powered car or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy like that. But people that accomplish extraordinary things, people that their blood sugars are absolutely incredible. Their A1C remains in the high fives all the time. They're eating foods that they love. They're living life. They're doing their thing. They're not stressed about their diabetes. They feel great. They've got high energy. Their social life is rocking. Everything's awesome. It's because they're doing the little things daily, repeatedly, over a long period of time. I personally love to track my food. I find it easier for carb counting. I find it easier for knowing fat and protein impact on my blood sugar. And I want to say I will actually look it up in real time because it is intriguing. There we go. 4,526 consecutive days. Double thumbs up, right? But that's streaks on MyFitnessPal. If it tracks it for you, I obviously go in there all the time because I'm using it. But the important thing here is recognizing, like, that's a little thing I've done for a really long period of time. I remember thinking it was so cool. Wow, I just hit 1,000 days. This is so cool. And there have been a few close calls where I'm like, am I going to log in on time? But fortunately, I was able to. But the important thing here is recognizing, look, this is a little thing. I spend 60 seconds plugging in a meal before I eat it or after I've eaten it, depending on the situation, right? I'm always spending the little extra teeny bit of effort, and it's annoying in the moment, right? You're at dinner, you're with your friends. You don't want to sit there, look at the plate, and plug in what you think is going to make sense for you. But at the same time, if I know I do that and my blood sugars are better as a result of that, I would rather do that and know I'm going to have a better, richer experience in the moment. And even more so, when the dinner's over, everybody's home, I'm not sitting there with a 285 blood sugar feeling like someone hit me in the head with a 2x4 because I chose to not do the little action that was going to help me feel better, not just in the moment, but in the immediate future after. And is it taking away from years down the road of the compilation of all those 285 blood sugars? So the little things will do a lot, but if you don't do them, if you don't even try, you're not going to be able to expect progress. If you don't pick up a finger to even say, oh, well, let me figure out, it's not going to matter. You can't just will it into existence. You have to act it into existence. Another thing, and this one's a fun one, things always take longer than you expect. So the last two, right? So we've got the little things are the most important. Do those little things for an extraordinary amount of time, and you'll see a lot of good things happen and it compounds, right? But then understand that it is going to take longer than you expect. Anything worth doing in life is going to take effort. And anything worth doing in life that takes effort is going to take longer than you want it to. End of story. Anything worth doing in life is going to take effort and take longer than you want it to. You want to have an A1C of 6.0? Totally doable. You can do a lot of things to make life easier. Our team helps make life easier for people all the time, every single solitary day. We are saying, okay, how can we basically cut out 85% of the guessing and checking that most people with diabetes do so they can just get immediately to their A1C where they're happy? Immediately see blood sugar changes. My goodness, I've seen in 2 weeks people dropping their average blood sugar from 185 down to 135. And it's not a fluke because they're able to keep it there. We will make your life easier doing that. If you're interested in getting that type of support to skip a bunch of the BS and get right to the happy blood sugars where you're feeling amazing and looking your best and having more energy and enjoying food you love, holler at me. Instagram, TikTok, @manofzeal. But the big thing here is things will take longer than you expect them to. Doesn't matter. Again, diabetes or not diabetes, you want to drop pounds? Cool. It's going to probably take a little longer than you want it to. You want to do a gigantic project, home improvement, which I'm the last person you want to ask about that stuff. Probably going to take a little longer than you expect it to, unless you're super conservative on the time frame. Things will take longer. That is okay. It's when you move. I feel like moving is the best analogy for this. You go to move, right? And whether you're moving from an apartment or a house, it doesn't really matter. You're moving. Out of my dorm room was the first time I actually noticed this back in the day when I was in college, where I'm moving out. I've got all my stuff packed. Obviously, that's the first part of the process. Then you have to get all your stuff into the car or in the truck or wherever. Then you have to get that stuff to another location, whether you're moving there, you're putting it in storage, whatever. And then you have to unload it. It's annoying, right? But the thing about moving always felt, and again, I was in the dorm. I remember thinking about this. I think it was after my freshman year in the summer. I don't know, whatever. It was early college. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty much done. This is great. All my stuff's pretty much out. I'm pretty much done. This is awesome. And right when I thought I was pretty much done, I'm like, oh, I only have a few little things left. I was really only 70% done. Like I still had to clean up stuff. I still had to figure out how stuff was maneuvering into the car. I still had to figure out where stuff was going once I got it to the next destination, which I think at that point was storage, but that doesn't matter. You get the gist. It always feels like it took longer. Like I'd be like, oh, I'm so close. I remember my family moving when I was a kid, and okay, I think I was in high school, and I remember being like, okay, cool, this is great. We're pretty much ready to go. But we weren't. Like there was still a huge chunk of things that had to happen afterwards to actually finally be moved out. And there was always, I still have this straggling thing over here and this thing that's just stuck over there and I just have to deal with it. And it's so annoying. I still got to mop the floor, whatever, right? It always feels like it takes longer. That is a great example here. And again, anything worth doing is going to take time. Moving may or may not be worth doing. Sometimes it's a necessity, but the gist, the principle is there. Anything you want to accomplish is going to take longer than you want it to. You want to learn a new skill, expect it to take a little while. You can't just pick it up and be like, oh, I'm a natural. Like you can, but you want to get good at, I don't know, playing the guitar, you're probably not going to pick it up and be Jimi Hendrix. You're going to have to spend time on the basic stuff and get used to it. And a lot of people, this is maybe my soapbox of the day, but a lot of people will just get frustrated because they don't nail it right away. Oh, I tried it for a week and it was too hard. Oh, it was really difficult. Oh, I tried it and it was too much for me. If you want to do something and you're serious about accomplishing it, you have to be willing to put in that time and doing those little things and expect that it's going to take a while. But if you enjoy the process of it, if you enjoy the, wow, I'm seeing how much better I'm getting. Again, on the guitar example, I don't play guitar, but I'm assuming it would be a hell of an undertaking. Oh, wow, I figured out how to play this very basic Marietta Little Lamb. Cool. Why you'd want to play that on guitar? I don't know, but you get the idea. You have to be happy with the progress you're making and acknowledge it. You want to lose 85 pounds, you first got to lose 5. You want to bench press 250 pounds, first you got to bench press the bar, which is 45, right? So you have to be able to be excited about the different benchmarks. This kind of morphed, but I think it's the same principle. You have to be excited about hitting certain benchmarks along the way. Because if you're not enjoying the journey, truly, all you're doing is getting yourself more and more frustrated. And when you finally get to that destination, you may have moved the goalpost. And I am the king of that with myself. I will be like, great, I did it. Okay, what's the next thing? Which is good. But you have to still acknowledge, hey, I hit this. This is amazing. This is super cool. You have to do that. Hey, your A1C is 8.2. You want to bring it down to 6.0. You better be celebrating when you hit 7. It's not, oh, I'm not at 6 yet. You just broke 7, dude. You were at 8.2. That is amazing. Acknowledge that. Celebrate that. It is cool. All right. I think my rant there might be done for now. Other observations, other things from this past year. I still love playing baseball. I don't think I realized the extent that I loved playing baseball because, as you may or may not remember, I did a camp back in January. And then I had a game, I actually got to play at Target Field, which was like a literal dream come true, childhood dream. And it was something where I've talked about baseball some. I talked about coming up with diabetes and the role baseball played on that. But I don't think I ever talked about the actual way that my career ended, if we're going to use that term loosely. And effectively, I was 2012 and I remember leaving a game, could not feel my elbow, could not feel my arm. And that was it. That was the end of it. I did not go back on a field in a competitive game again. So it was a major letdown. And I know playing in a game versus watching a game is very different. Watch a bunch of games, cool. I think I threw 5 times over the next 6 years. It was basically I was done. I wasn't playing again. Didn't think I could, didn't think it was physically possible. And then I finally had the inkling. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try. Let's see what happens. Trained up. Everything was solid. Ironically, at the camp, ended up injuring my elbow again. Fun times, yay. But the positive was just being on the field in general and you figuring out how to work around. I don't think I realized how much that I actually missed it. And I think it's just a good reminder for people and for you to, if you've got that passion, you've that thing that you love, let the inner child out. Let it be free. Do those things that make you passionate. Be that person that's, oh my God, I'm so excited about fill in the blank. If you had a hobby as a kid or you had something as a kid, revisit that. Maybe you have a family and you can revisit it with your kids now. But do those things that make you happy, that really bring you that pure joy and bliss. And I remember Amelia coming down for part of the camp. It was in Fort Myers, a little bit south of where I am. And I remember her being like, first of all, I've never seen you excited at 7:45 in the morning about anything. Because if you know me, I do not like waking up early. No, thank you. But second off, she's like, I can just see how excited you are, how happy you are, how just purely in the moment you are right now and how present you are. And she had never seen that. I had been really concerned. I'm not going to lie. When we first started throwing to get prepared, I'm like, because she had never seen me play. I'd met her years after I was done. So I was like, she's going to think I never actually played any sport or actually played baseball. I'm just talking and talking. And meanwhile, she saw, okay, cool. He actually wasn't BSing. But I think the important thing here is recognizing, let your inner child out. Do something that makes you passionate. If you have something that excites you, do it. And don't just delay. Don't be like, oh, I'll do it later on. Like, just do a little bit. Do something. Like, in my case, it could have been, hey, let's go play a game of catch. Hey, it could even be with a football. Like, something to just get you excited. I learned I have that competitive spirit still, and I need to let that out and flourish. But at the same time, do something that makes you excited and truly happy. Truly in the moment, do something for yourself. I think it's super important. I don't think I realized the importance of that until I was able to experience that this past January. And then again, about a month ago. So definitely don't let that fall by the wayside. Another thing, and this is diabetes related, I really do love the Omnipod. I've always loved Tandem. I've had it for roughly 10 years. And I wasn't sure. I'm like, do I like the pod? Do I not? I don't know. Let me try it out. And it took a while to get used to. I'm not going to lie. There were some areas where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Tried that DIY loop. Huge fan. Massive, huge fan of the DIY loop. I think the DIY loop, if you put that on a Tandem, I would totally use that in a heartbeat. But that being said, no tube, amazing. Am I on Tandem right now? Absolutely, yes. I am grateful I'm able to at times pick and choose when I want to be on the pod. But at the same time, I think the important thing is, in terms of what's out there, in terms of options, make the best choice for you and your situation, but you cannot go wrong with either device. Absolutely not. Something else, this was a very personal one. PRing with lifts, right? Setting personal bests. It doesn't really matter as much as I feel like it used to. Like I used to be that person that's got to go out there, got to bust my tail and make sure I'm lifting as heavy as possible. And it's going to be amazing. And I think I finally realized maybe I'm just at that age where it just doesn't matter to me as much, or maybe it's more so hey, I would rather be able to train at a relatively decent high level than try to just absolutely wreck my body and push when it's like, what am I competing for? Like, I could bench heavy, but like, why is it worth the wear and tear? Is it worth the potential risk? Is there actually any utility in deadlifting heavy at this point in time when I'm just doing it for the sake of the training? I don't really know. I don't really think there is, but it's been a very big ego hit for me to a degree where it's like, oh, you got to lift and do it. But at the same time, I'm like, if you can sustain and live a healthy lifestyle and continually get stronger, like maybe I'm going to do the same lower weight, but I'll do it more times. It's still improvement, but it's improving in a different way. It's not, hey, I'm looking at load volume. I guess would be the best example. And for the exercise nerds out there, load volume, right, is going to be your number of reps times your weight. So if you're doing 100 pounds, you do it 10 times, that's 1,000 pounds of load volume. It's technically the same load volume as if you do 200 pounds 5 times, right? Or doing 500 pounds twice. So it's not going to say it's equal. It's certainly different, but I've been focusing more on that. I feel like it's interesting as I've gotten older to do my best on keeping my body healthier, but also remembering like exercise has such a big impact on your insulin sensitivity. You have to be paying attention to that. You have to be doing activity regularly, and it's better to be in the game than trying to bust your tail. Oh no, I couldn't do it, and now I'm putting myself in a potentially risky situation. Something else, this is extremely random. I went to Las Vegas for the first time ever to go watch the Vikings set football back 70 years last year and win a game 3-0. Thumbs up. But I'd never been to Las Vegas before, and it really just felt like adult Disney World. Genuinely, adult Disney World. Like it was all of the lights and the colors and everything else, but it was just all geared towards adult. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm not a gambling kind of person, but it was interesting. Again, that's just a random observation. I literally got off the plane. I'm in the car to go to the hotel, and I'm like, this literally looks like Orlando for adults instead of Orlando for kids. And I love Orlando for about 48 hours, and then I lose my mind. And I think the last thing and the big one that I will leave you with here in terms of observations, I could keep going forever, but I don't want to bore you to tears too much. But this would be just fucking start. Whatever it is, whether you want to get your blood sugars better, you want to drop weight, you want to start playing an instrument, you want to, whatever it might be, you want to learn how to build furniture, I don't know. Just start. Just take that first step and do it. Yes, you can go the formal route and say, you know what, I'm going to map it all out and put a schedule on and dedicate all this. You can do that, and you'll probably be more successful if you do structure it. But at the same time, figure out what step number one is. It might be step number one of 120,000, but that's okay. Do step number one. Start that thing, whatever it is. Like I've told you in the past, this podcast, I procrastinated on for years. I had people telling me in 2019, Ben, start a podcast, do a podcast. I'm like, I'll just interview on other people's podcasts. It'll be fine. And I don't think I realized the impact that you can have and the amazing, more in-depth conversation that you can have through a platform like this. And so I finally started it, I guess, a little bit over a year ago, which is crazy. And here we are, right? With consistency. And notice the same thing here, right? It's taken longer than I expected to really get into it. I've done a lot of little things repeatedly. I've done it every single week. And I've made sure that it's happening, and notice you get better over time. So just fucking start, please. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Just start. You will get better at whatever you're choosing to do. If it's in the diabetes realm and you're like, hey, I want to skip some of the nonsense. I want to get right into the fun. I want my blood sugars better. I want to drop pounds. I want to get stronger. I want to feel my best. My team and I is here to help. We all live with type 1 ourselves. We all have exercise backgrounds. And we might even take your insurance. So if you're interested in that, shoot me a message at Man of Zeal, MANOFTZEL, on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are listening. Shoot me a message, drop a comment, let me know how I may be able to help support you. Happy to see what we can do there. If you are watching this podcast, by the way, the visual version, it will be on a new channel on YouTube. It'll be the Your Diabetes Insider podcast channel, specific for the podcast and the podcast only. So fun little announcement for you there as well. But with this, I'm super excited to celebrate. I'm excited to celebrate with you. Cheers to an amazing year. Cheers to an amazing rest of 2024 into 25. But let's absolutely crush. Let's do year 33. That's going to be amazing. And with that, I'll catch you in the next episode.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.